Welcome back on board the Starship, and we're talking with Mark Cocking. And Mark is going to try and explain to us the law of octaves and law of three, which is secret knowledge, would you say? Or
I'd call it esoteric.
Esoteric knowledge.
It's not secret as such. In fact, the great irony is that it's the knowledge that was known by all thousands of years ago. So it's not so much secret. It's kept underground because, of course, human history is not what we've been told it is. Anyway, it's a hard one to do, but first of all, the law of three. This is what's referred to, certainly through Christian theology, as the Trinity. This is where the concept came from originally, and it is that there are three energies that create everything. There are no exceptions, and this could be from something in physical existence to a thought pattern, literally anything. The three energies combine, and you could call them passive, active, and neutral, or you could call them positive, negative, and earth, or whatever you want to call them. They do apply throughout electrical engineering and every aspect of science. And it's the interaction of those three energies that bring into creation in our 3D reality whatever it is one is trying to create, be that a human being or a plant or whatever. So it is the process of creation. So you have passive, active, and neutral energies. You can think of them as perhaps twisting together as a helix.
Okay.
Each of these energies has 7 distinct frequencies and notes, for want of a better word, at which they resonate.
7.
Yeah. And those 7 frequencies happen to be identical to what has been identified as the Western musical scale, as noted by Pythagoras originally. Even before him, but he majored on that.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Yeah, call it do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Yeah. And the point is that if you have each of the 3 energies, with internally consisting of 7 specific frequencies. So you could think of this as a rainbow, for example. There's 7 light bands within the rainbow, 7 distinct frequencies. They do, of course, all merge across one spectrum. The same applies to DNA. Without going into the detail here, it's constructed in exactly the same way, as is all matter, as is absolutely everything. And this is the point that I've put before scientists from every discipline over the years. Here's the theory. That's the answer to all of your questions. Tell me I'm wrong. And I've pointed out none of them have ever been able to do that. In fact, most of them will say, hell, they see something. And the key is actually in the numbers itself. This defines numerology and many other, even astrology. Many other systems have come out of this. The I Ching, for example, has exactly the same numbers within it, as does every other wisdom tradition, from Druidry to Wicca to Buddhism. They all talk about the eightfold way, the octave of creation. Now, within each of these bands, as I say, is the 7 notes. So if we call them do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and the next note is do again.
Yes.
So that's the 8 notes making the octave.
You've got one entire octave.
That's right. And the last note is the same as the first.
Now, in an octave, I know that when you go to the next octave, if you play A, say the note of A, and then you go up an entire octave, that's a doubling of the frequency.
Double of the frequency.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And then you've got this split. So carry on.
So the potential for each energy band is to double as it evolves over an octave.
Right.
And that is over time, but it could be in an instant or it could be a long-term project. Everything sort of follows this structure. And it's in the numbers, if you think about this. If you have 3 octaves, there would be 24 notes.
Yeah.
But in reality, how would you put this? Starting at A, you get first octave is A, which is a doubling of that frequency. Second octave is A, and the last octave is also A. The middle 2 are shared. They are both the last note of the first octave and the first note of the next octave. It's one and the same. So the middle 2 A's, in this case, are the same
Right.
They've therefore come out. What I'm saying is you have 22 notes. If you
yeah,
just jot
yes,
these
'cause
down,
it's
you actually have
overlapped, yes.
22.
Okay.
Now, 22 over 7 is pi. This is
Okay.
the basis of the ancient esoteric knowledge.
So you've got, so there's 3 octaves that overlap with, they've all got 8 in them, but they overlap on 2 sections, so that makes, instead of 3 8 to 24,
That's right.
it's 22.
Yeah.
Over 7 is pi.
And this is what pi actually defines.
It's not exactly 22 over 7 though, is it?
Well,
Is it?
there's a debate.
Is
The ancients always, pi,
Yeah.
they didn't use that name, of
I
course.
mean, I would use that in a maths exam if you couldn't be bothered with the calculator,
it's,
22 over 7,
it's
I
pretty
suppose.
damn close, but it's a good question because that actually is the key. And it's a very
Right.
hard question to answer,
So-
but
Now, when you said passive, active and neutral, are these the octave 1, 2 and 3
No.
that overlap? Or there's 3 different sets
No.
of these 22
there's a
notes?
guy called Michael Hayes, he's written about this, and,
Right.
and he really is the only author I've found who's ever written
Right.
at this sort of level. So I really recommend anyone reads his books.
Michael Hay.
Michael Hayes.
Hayes. Okay.
I don't remember the name of the book now, but
Okay.
he wrote a book about 10 years ago. Read that. And I
Mhm.
believe he's just followed up on that.
Mhm.
Read his stuff. Now, Michael will explain the 3 energies, the octave, and so on.
Mhm.
But I learned this many years ago,
Mhm.
and I've been watching it evolve over my life and come into the public arena.
Mhm.
What I would add to what Michael has to say is that the 3 energies actually do work together. So you have 3 distinct octaves
Mhm.
working in a helical form, a
Right.
spiral form, as opposed to just laid out end to end. It's a very subtle difference, but
Right.
it's a key one.
So are these, for example, an electromagnetic wave, which
Mhm.
is a wave in space,
Mhm.
are they vibrations of space, i.e. an EM wave, or is it something smaller than that?
It's the
or-
substate that's vibrating. It's the medium in which something is vibrating. It is light, ultimately.
Okay.
Light is defined by this triple octave. I can see I'm going to have to put on a talk or something with all the visual aids here, but it's actually so simple that I showed it just on a piece of paper
Mhm.
last week. And you could go on explaining it forever, but it is so simple that
Right.
once it's seen, it's for
Right.
the individual
Well,
to
if
work
you
with.
can supply me with an image and I'll overlay it and we can put it on
I'm
top
sure
of
I
the...
can do that,
Okay,
yeah.
great. So there's 3 different types of energy which each consist of 3 octaves. Is that right? Okay, which somehow produce light, or
I think
is that
perhaps-
what is the basis of light?
Perhaps we're getting a bit complex. What I'm saying is that everything
Uh-huh.
throughout creation and existence
Mhm.
is made from these 3 energies
Mhm.
interacting as a triple octave.
Mhm.
When it tunes itself,
Mhm.
imagine the first 7 notes are struck in the first octave.
Mhm.
If you play them on a keyboard, for example,
Mhm.
you'll get a dissonant sound. But what they do is all 7 are struck together and they form the 8th note.
Mhm.
Together they form the 8th note.
Okay.
So by striking the 7th, you transcend to the octave.
Mhm.
By striking the next 7, you transcend to the next octave.
Okay.
And the next 7, you transcend. Now above that,
Mhm.
that triple octave band is our frequency band of creation. At the top you would have light speed, and at the bottom you would have absolute 0, which is
Okay.
no speed. Minus 273.2 degrees there,
Mhm.
and light speed
Okay.
up there. Now I know they're 2 different scales.
Yeah.
It's the numbers that are key to this.
Right.
For at one end you have 144,000,
Mhm.
which is the speed of light in arc seconds per second around a sphere.
Mhm.
And at the other end, you have the lowest possible temperature in the known universe.
Mhm.
Now, as I've pointed out in things I've written, the number 2732
Mhm.
and 144,000
Mhm.
plus the triple octave actually decode the Bible. This is
Right.
the coding system that's used in the Bible. And people will say, ha, rubbish.
Mhm.
Well, I don't intend to prove it to any of them.
Mhm.
I was told this many years ago
Mhm.
within your secret societies, watched it all unfold and did my own research and
Mhm.
so on. And I can tell you it clearly is there.
Okay.
It was this hermetic encoding that was put into the ancient documents, some of which became the Bible.
Okay.
Long story.
I mean, I think I can see what you're getting at. I would need to have a look at the diagrams to start to understand it. But with regards to numerology, I'm not saying that things aren't encoded into the Bible. Maybe they are, but numerology in general, I believe, is flawed because we work on a base 10 number system, and in science, in physics, if you can work on any number system, you can work on octal, hexadecimal, and all of the equations still work. So you can work out how far it's going to, how long it's going to get to the moon or whatever what you want. It all works on any number bit. The thing with numerology, you move over to hexadecimal or octal, it all falls apart. For example, so someone will take the year 1968 and they add up all of the digits in it and they make another number, and then they do this and then they say, oh, well, look, there's symbology in it because of this. It doesn't work, because if you go to another number system, it all falls apart. So this is why generally the whole of numerology, for as far as I'm concerned, is completely flawed, because it won't work in another number system like physics does.
If I could convert it for you into any other number system, though.
Yes, I would then...
You reciprocate 81. That's the key to actually decoding numerology. Again,
what, 1 divided by 81?
1 over 81. That creates the decimal system that you're talking about. And 81 you will find in all those physics equations that you mentioned before.
Right.
As a constant.
Right.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, well, you see, we're going to areas that you talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it's
a bit
difficult
confusing
to,
in a conversation.
Yeah, to get to the bottom of it in a 30-minute interview. But I certainly need to go away and have a look at this. It is quite intriguing. So you're saying that's the basis of space or the basis of matter?
I'll summarise it for you. At some point in the distant past, the entire knowledge of the universe, in physics, call it that, of science and spirituality was known. Jesus was a teacher of that, the Pythagorean school, quite provably it tells you in the Bible. And that's what's been suppressed since the time of Jesus. Okay
then, Mark, well, we'll come back to all of this in part 3, and because it's time for the Artist of the Week. Now, this band have only been playing together for 4 months, and they actually have less members in their band than the legendary Rush, because there's only 2 of them. Brandon Randall, who's only aged 13, on drums, and Andy Dove, aged 16, on guitars. And they've produced this video themselves, and I'm honoured because the track was written specially for this show. So here it is. It's called Richplanet by the band Not Peart.